Hello and welcome to Enter the Nerdosphere. This, as you may or may not know, is a special week here because it's E3.
It's been a great week.
Instead of a topic-oriented single episode this week, we're putting out six.
Is it six? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Yeah.
Putting out 6 mini episodes covering each of the major conferences coming out of E3. We're going to talk about the best games that we're looking forward to coming out and the how we felt about each conference. So this episode is going to be about Ubisoft.
They have a new logo. Everyone's spouting about that. It's basically the same thing. It's just black and white now instead of purple.
Woo!
Yay!
So, Just Dance. I know you guys are a fan of
Just Dance is fun, and this Just Dance is the first one to introduce K-pop. It had Hayuna's Bubble Pop on there. And the moment that I started singing, I was like, this is fantastic. They had some more Boney M songs on there, and I was like, oh man, I feel my butt shaking. My hips don't lie. Give me Just Dance. Also, can I just say, I'm so glad that this conference, they chose the professional route, and they didn't have that Alicia actress or whatever from Archer, and she's now the host of Whose Line. That was like, Ubisoft's conference had been the biggest joke for the past couple of years. And they finally came out with the head of Ubisoft and just like talking about games and doing it serious. But yeah, I'm excited. Just Dance looks fun. I'm excited for the song choices I got to see.
The Crew 2 graphically looks phenomenal. I've got several people that I game with regularly that were into the Crew for a while and they really liked it. Racing,
it's not always my jam. It kind of depends. Like the Burnout games I like, but that's because it brings an arcade mentality to it. It's not It's not real. But the trailer in general was actually one of my favorite trailers because they had a good song choice, it had a good rhythm and a good beat to just like how it was playing out, and
just because
I didn't know what
real.
I didn't know what was real life anymore. I was like, that just looks phenomenal. Now, granted, obviously that was cutscenes, but we did get to see gameplay trailer from the show floor, and the game still looks phenomenal. Granted, racing games are much easier, make it look pretty because it's all texture palettes and easy mechanics, but regardless, there's a lot you can do. You can fly, you can car, you can boat, you can off-road, you can motocross.
Yeah, they're definitely expanding on what they had in the first one with all the different vehicle types and stuff.
So you know, it seems like every company has their go-to. And it seems like Ubisoft is really putting a lot of effort into the Crew so that it can stand the test of time against Gran Turismo and Forza.
Yeah. We've got Mario and Rabbids coming out.
You know, the Rabbids usually get on my nerves, but when I saw the Rabbid dressed as Peach, I was like, it made me giggle. And I was like, you know, as I started to show how the structure works, whatever the mechanics, I could see the potential for unique gameplay.
And the Rabbids games are actually pretty fun.
Are they? Mm-hmm. Now, the biggest takeaway, although it looked kind of silly, and I mean, if I ever get a Switch, I'll probably end up getting it anyways. But the one thing I took away from this was, this is exciting news, not just because it's Mario plus Rabbids, it's because it's Nintendo legitimately putting their arm out and reaching across the aisle to another big developer and say, our characters can inhabit your world and you can develop our game for us.
It's definitely a step in the right direction, especially since probably midway through the Wii / definitely Wii U, they were like really closed off. You know, like they didn't have a whole lot of third-party support. They didn't have a whole lot of games coming out that weren't Nintendo-developed games. So,
because that's what we want more of, is Nintendo saying, our IP is good. What can you do with our IP? Which is what they did, and it's a step in a great direction.
I'll probably get it. I like my Switch.
In-depth Assassin's Creed gameplay.
We had the original reveal during the Microsoft conference, which is another episode. If you want to
pop on over and check it out,
check that out. But man, I'm real excited about Assassin's Creed because the last real one that I played was 4. The one where he plays Edward Kenway, which I'm pretty sure is 4. Yeah. Because we had 1, then we had 3 for Ezio, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed...
Connor was before Edward.
I know, that's Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, okay.
And then Assassin's Creed 4 was Edward, which is Connor's grandpa.
Yeah, because the French one wasn't good, and Syndicate I
French
heard was
one-
fun.
The French one, it was just more of the same. I actually bought it, played it for like an hour, and I just couldn't keep getting into it.
That was my story.
That was where I fell out. I actually bought the collector's edition and have the statue because I was still so into it, and then I just fell out. And then I never bought Syndicate.
That was another one. It's on sale until the 20th on PlayStation Store, and it's like $15. And it was one that Greg said is worth the time. He says it's
Is
fun.
it though? Do I want to like get Assassin's Creeded out before this new one comes out? I don't know. But man, this looks really good. It's about the origins of the assassins
In Egypt.
in Egypt. It kind of like hinted that we might play as more than one assassin, maybe.
That would be cool.
He's got the one that they did show off. Can like
With the
there's
eagle.
definitely more mystical powers, so they're kind of embracing that side of it a little bit more with like the Eden artifacts and stuff, because he can inhabit the eagle and like spot things, and I don't know, that was just really cool. So I'm on. The only thing that I'm a little miffed about, and it's because I'm super detail oriented when it comes to things like movies and video games.
Sure.
Dude is using double blades. Double blades weren't introduced until Ezio did it, which is in the 1400s.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're back. Up until then, they'd only used one blade.
Right.
So
I think it's a problem that you have when a game is expanding as the franchise expands, so the mechanics are getting larger and larger. It's like whenever you play a third in a franchise, you go back and play the second, you're like, this isn't as much fun. It's because the mechanics are less than. They continuously
Right,
build upon each
exactly.
other. But when
Yeah.
you go into a prequel, how do you want to continue that momentum?
Yeah,
So you kind of have to
exactly.
like hope that no one's actually nitpicking about that stuff.
Yeah, and
But no,
I
I
am.
totally get that.
I am.
My biggest thing with the Assassin's Creed
It's
games,
not going to keep me from not enjoying that game, probably, or even enjoying the story. It's just like a little thing that kind of bugs me. So.
Yeah, I'm happy they took a few years off. I definitely see the detail and the effort put into it. My biggest thing with those games is that the environments always look great, but the people always make me go, I never feel like the people look great.
They don't, but it's so huge. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You kind of have to give and take with certain things, and then everybody's using different engines, and they're expanding on like the architecture and the environment instead of expanding on the NPCs. So
Next up is, if you really enjoyed playing the boat mechanic parts of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, there's an entire game made for you now, and it is Skull and Bones.
Yep, it's
It
pirate
looks
ships, and
interesting.
you and your friends
My
do different things on a pirate ship and just fight other pirate ships.
My
and-
biggest problem with it is that Ubisoft did like a 15 to 20 minute live play of it, and I was like, you have sunk my desires for this right now. I just got so bored, but it looks interesting. With time, those games get more expansive with the more that you evolve your ships and stuff, and I definitely enjoyed that part of Black Flag.
Yeah, let's jump straight into Far Cry 5.
Far Cry 5 looks pretty. The Far Cry
It
games
looks
always
beautiful. They
just
always look
are like
good.
eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
Takes
It's
place
kind
in
of like
America.
where you said Assassin's Creed is always an open world that looks beautiful, but the characters look bad. It's like Far Cry is a game still by Ubisoft that does that. Like everything looks good in that game, man.
And you can do like whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
The Far Cry games have always been one that I've always kind of laughed at, because there's not a whole lot of connective tissue. It's just like, do whatever you want. Interesting story.
Yeah, and this one, like you said, it's set in America. It's actually set like present day, which I don't think they've really
With
done
like some
yet.
Yeah, it takes place with like
It's never
some
been
weird
like right now.
right, and some weird cult has run rampant, and
Yeah,
you're dealing with that shenanigans.
Yeah, so
It
it might be the first Far Cry that I actually play.
I
Because
was
they
thinking
always
that
look
too.
really good, and it's that type of open world game where like you take over the map and discover things and do like side quests. It's always the type of game that I like, but I'm usually always playing some other type of game like that, so I never get into Far Cry. And to be honest, with 3 kids now and having less and less real time to dedicate towards games, the less I'm interested in like the Skyrims and the Fallouts, unfortunately. So,
Who are you?
but I do kind of want to check Far Cry out, so we'll see.
Then they closed out the house with a CG movie-esque trailer of Beyond Good and Evil. This is now I was watching Kind of Funny live stream this. Tim Geddes was flipping out the moment it went on screen. I was like, I have no idea what's happening here. Apparently, Beyond Good and Evil was the popular game that came out in the era of GameCube and stuff.
It was. I never played it or
I never
really
played it either. And apparently, this sort of tease has happened before, so no one's holding their breath. But long story short, Beyond Good and Evil is still being worked on and is tentatively coming out sometime in the future.
So if you're a Beyond Good and Evil fan, be excited. And that was another episode of Enter the Nerdosphere. Be sure to check out our other mini episodes this week dedicated to each of the E3 conferences. Ooh. Be sure to leave a like or a rating and comment down below what you liked most coming out of Ubisoft this E3. And we'll see you next time.